hero of my cake. Independent leader made a way. I'm the people's voice, he'll preparate. Stuck to my pace, the turtle win the race. There's trophies on trophies, views from the townscape. Change is great, break, then I had to skate. God told me time to go elevate. Chosen child, I'm the champ now, not a featherweight. Man, I'm so blessed, I just meditate. Peace of mind, that's what you get.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And we are back today to discuss another episode of BMF. It's season 3, episode 9, and it was titled Death Trap. But before we get started on the conversation, please make sure you all jump down to that little subscribe button and click it. Make sure you're subscribed. Also click the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we post, and that thumbs up the thumbs up button. It helps our videos to gain traction, and it shows a lot of support and love for the channel, which we deeply appreciate. So thanks to everybody who's already done so. But if you haven't, now is the time. And invite your friends and family as well. There's a share button that we would love for you to use, where you can send our videos to other people and help them get on to the Spiral Talk. Put them on.
That's right. That's what we're
So
here
now
for.
that I got that little spiel out, we can go ahead and talk about this episode because, things are hot down in the MIA. Terry and Meech, we knew that they were heading down south last week. They said they were going to Miami and they had a purpose. So they were going to try to find the same guy that Mac uses for his car installations, where he gets the safes installed, because they are in desperate need of that in order to keep their operations under the radar from the Red Dogs. Mm-hmm. So they're down in the MIA, and as soon as they hop out, first night out, they go to the club, and it's trouble already. Hence, death trap.
Let's speak of the first trouble. Terry.
Oh, I knew this was gonna be a problem.
And who shows up?
Terry and Markeisha.
God, I was like, can you just leave that puppy at home? I mean, does that puppy have to travel everywhere you go?
Markeisha was a piece of work this episode, and I think we all got a lot to say about her mouth.
Yeah, we do. And man, she was on my nerves, but I thought about Ron. I was like, I know Ron can't stand her, and she was on my nerves this week too.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a pair of boxing gloves just so I can shadow box, and knock her out when I see her. That's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can go ahead and talk about it since we on it. You know, she was kind of throwing shade at Meech and then interrupting their business operation. She didn't want to stay at the resort. She wanted to go out and have this grand vacation. And Terry is trying to warn her, like, look, the block is hot. We are on the radar of the MKs. They know we in town. So it's best for you to stay put. And she still got a problem with it, kind of undermining things like, oh, I've been there, done that. You know, when I was with Boom, this happened before. And he's trying to let her know, like, this ain't no Boom type situation. These MKs are no joke.
I just said, let her go. Go ahead. Let her go.
Right. Because at this point, I could go without Markeisha.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
Go ahead and make my dreams, or that dream we had in episode, 6 or 5, and let my dreams come true. Go right ahead. Run along.
Mm-hmm. And then she popped off some more when Angel showed up, and she's like, you know, Angel got the gun from Meech, and she's like, well, I can't trust her to protect me and all this other stuff. I'm like, why she gotta have a problem with every little thing? Like, she's such a nitpicker.
She was like, you got a strap for me?
Yeah,
I was like, good grief.
Now, okay, so Terry, I got to give him a one-upsome, because he really said, okay, I bought a ticket for you, you can take your behind home. And as she was giving all that grief, he was standing up like a man and telling her, you know, you can get your tail on out of here and go home. But will it last?
No.
Last.
I thought the same thing. I was like, Terry stood on business this week. It was like, you need to go home. Now I got you a ticket and stuff. And then what she said about LaWanda, she's like, take your shot. Ask you, and all that's gonna be waiting on you are those milk stained bras. I
took offense to that now.
I didn't. And the other thing, I thought that LaWanda, if they have a temporary break or whatever, I hope LaWanda does not let Terry back in. Like
Mm-mm.
she need to stand on business and let Terry know he can't run in and out.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
Yeah. But we know, Tender D Terry ain't gonna stay away from Markeisha. So this is probably only temporary, unfortunately.
I know. I'm gonna be really ticked off in the next episode when he goes back with his tail between his legs, talking about, "You all right, baby?" Oh God.
He has him whipped, and you can tell that Meech can't stand her.
Oh.
As soon as she walked up, his face, he was like, "This sack Jason."
Yep.
And the look on his face, I was like, Meech can't stand her.
I love
with good
Meech.
reason.
It's like absolutely good reason. I love it.
But we brought up the MK situation going on in Miami, and of course them knowing that they're in town. But then you kind of add to it that Angel is in town too, and so I was like, okay, what's up with her? And even Glock mentioned something like she does whatever her interests, and I'm like, I mean, that's really the truth, because here she is falling back into Meech's arms, and I was just like, I don't know, she irritates me.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate that she does have some kind of loyalty to Meech in order to like look out for him and give him the heads up. So she continuously does that. She did it last week. She's doing it again this week. And I was like, all right, despite her being a bird, I got to give her a little credit.
Except that, there's an old saying, you can't support or love two gods. You got to pick and choose. You got to choose one. And, one time she's with the MKs or Glock, and then the next thing, she's doing that double duty that can get her killed. Because
the other part is
already
she was the one that got them caught up when they was trying to escape the hotel, dropping a purse and crap.
Right. Well, Glock already seems to be on her radar, which is why he had her followed in the first place. So, she has to be mindful of the fact that you keep playing both sides and you won't have any side to play because you're going to be 6 feet under. So keep it up.
I think you're right about that. One thing about her, and I agree with what y'all saying about her. Like, I think she is, as you said, an opportunist. She's a survivor. But there's something that I do see in her that I think that she really does care about Meech. That's why she warned him in Atlanta and stuff. And then when she saw him, I think she has real feelings for him. Now, is she a bird, like you said? I think her background and everything has a lot to do with how she moves. Like when she said that she's used to moving with just a backpack and stuff. And I think, I think she's damaged. She's different than Markeisha. Like, I do feel a little more for her, because I feel like her background has made her who she is. It's difficult for her to trust. And then the way that Greenie treated her, like he treated her bad, but she was like, the way he was drilling in her head that she wasn't ish without him and stuff like that. When people are damaged and they can't see their worth, a lot of times they are attracted to the same type of folk. This is the only lifestyle that she knows. So that's what I think about her. Like, she hasn't been disloyal and all that, but I do really think she cares about Meech. And some people just don't know how to love. True.
She's my nemesis as well. I get the psychology of all this, and I really appreciate what you said, Tiff. Sounds great. Sounds real good. But here's the thing, Tiff. You got to grow up, and you got to know that whatever was in your past, you got to let it go, and you got to see the forest from the trees. So Meech never kicked you out. He never did any harm to you. And if you can't see the difference between what Meech was giving you and what you had in your past, then I'm sorry, sister. You're just on another extreme of Markeisha. What did Markeisha. I'm thinking about it.
Wrong show.
Got me so upset I can't even remember her name. Markeisha. You got one extreme and you got another, and they're both toxic.
They do both have some toxic characteristics.
Yeah, they do.
But at least Angel does have some redeeming value over Markeisha. So I agree with both of you guys.
Because if Glock had ever followed her at any one time, if he ever could catch up with her and follow her, she's going to go right to Meech. And guess what? Meech,
both of them caught up.
Right. He's not ready for it.
Well, we don't know if Glock is dead, because his shooters shot up everybody but Meech. I mean,
Right.
including him. So we don't know if he made it. And then if he didn't make it, his right hand or whoever, his crew might still go after Angel.
Because even after the MKs accidentally shot Glock, they were still following Terry and Meech and them as they were trying to get out of town. So I think you're right in saying that regardless of whether Glock lives or die, Meech and them are still a target.
Can we have everybody on? Can we have everybody on BMF take lessons on how to shoot from Henry? Can we do that?
Right.
Because Henry, point blank, I heard 3 rounds and I only saw one area of blood, which means she put all 3 in the same area. Good job. These characters firing sideways, hitting everything except the person they're supposed to be shooting, which is me. They get Glock. Now, Glock got Glocked. And, it was in the back, but we saw the blood as it was coming forward. So at the very least, he may have lost a lung. I don't know. But I'm really hoping that that's the end of Glock. But,
we'll see.
We'll see.
We will have to see. And you kind of like, before we switch over and talk about Henry, because I do want to get to her.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to talk about Francois because he was really disappointed with how Terry and Meech kind of like ditched their initial appointment. So he wasn't willing to work with them after that situation. But Terry really stepped up this episode, and he came and worked things out, smoothed things over. First, it was with the sculpture and making sure that, he fed Francois' ego with purchasing his art. And then, add the cherry on top of the cake with the car, the Porsche, the very limited edition Porsche that he bought up for him and everything. And then, of course, they had that Tony Montana connection, which I was like, okay, so Terry has really stepped up, and I'm glad that he acknowledged to Meech how difficult it was, being number 1, because he said, I got really comfortable as number 2 until I was forced to step into the role as, the leader. And I see how much of a headache it is. So he has an appreciation for what Meech had been doing.
I was really impressed with T this week too, because he showed that we know he's book smart, but he's definitely a student of the game too, because, remember the callback to season 1 when Big L was teaching him about art. And you really saw that when he was talking to Francois, because he was talking about Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapels and all that, Medici. I was like, okay, T.
Yep.
And so he showed out with that. And I appreciated also that Meech recognized T too. He was like, great job. So I appreciated that he showed his little brother love and was like, you did a great job.
And I appreciate that too, because Markeisha was feeding the exact opposite narrative, like, oh, you always up under Meech following him. You need to step up and be the man, blah, blah, blah. And, I think having Meech on the side saying, you did good, I appreciate you, kind of makes Markeisha look even more like, what? Like, come on now. Because she really is divisive in their brother relationship.
Yeah, but art is art. And Frenchie, I'm sorry, I don't know what that piece was, but it wasn't art.
He like a transformer.
It looked like a trash can. It looked like a trash can. That's what it looked like.
He looked like a transformer.
Okay. I'll take your transformation and make it a trash can. That's what it was.
Well, the other thing that Terry and Meech they were going up against this week was the plug kind of called them up and was like, look, y'all need to come and pick up the drugs directly. And so they were able to do that, since the safes and stuff got installed in the cars. But of course, Remy got word that they were down in Miami, and he kind of put the Red Dogs on their trail. So by the end of the episode, we see Terry and Meech getting pulled over, and not only that, getting their cars that they just got done confiscated. So I'm hoping that Francois lives up to his name and his reputation, and that this time around his safes won't be detected.
Yeah.
So
I like that 3-prong system where you have to hit the brakes, hit the lights, and cut on the windshield wiper to open up the safe. My question is, though, once they impound that car, do they literally take it apart?
Right, because he was saying they have to have like some kind of industrial type tools to cut it in half or something like that. Right. And I'm like, well, this is the police you talking about, and I don't know that they have. I mean, if it calls for it, they have unlimited resources, you know.
And also, you know,
but did they in the night? I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to piggyback on what you were saying. You know, dog sniffers, because if a dog sniffs that there is drugs in there, they will take that car apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but do they have, remember, this is like the 90s. Did they have those resources then? Like now, they have all types of, you know, forensics stuff and everything. But back then, in the 80s and 90s.
No, they had dog, they were trained to sniff out weed back then.
Weed.
Yeah, weed. I don't know much else. I honestly, I don't know much else, but I do know they could sniff out at least weed. But I don't know.
Well, based on real life, something tells me that Francois is going to make it, you know, live up to his name, and they are not going to be detected. They'll get their property back.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, but what do you do? Make them walk from wherever it was they confiscated the
right, because it looked like they was, you know, at a checkpoint or something. It's like, well, how we supposed to get home? Right. You took our cars.
Yeah, that's harassment. Like, you know, even like them breaking the tail light and all that stuff. I was like, I get it that you guys are trying to get the drug dealers out of there and stuff, but I was just like, y'all straight harassing folks too.
Yeah, doing the most.
Let's go back to Remy though, because you know when we had him on our show a couple of days ago, the question came up what he plans to do to try to fix Techwood and get back into their good graces. So I thought it to be very smart of him to put Red Dogs, you know, on Meech and Terry, and in the fashion in which he did it. So he knew that they had to be coming back to Atlanta, and so he had them, you know, watch out for, you know, Meech and Terry. And good job, Remy. I like that. What you thinking?
He said no outsiders, no outsiders. So right? He, you know, he knew the MKs were hemmed up. He was just like, we gonna stay. You know, he had his man watching Meech's crew say, yeah, we're gonna hem them up too.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you haven't checked out our roundtable interview that we did with Jason Louder, who plays Remy, please check that out. He is such an amazing person, has great energy, and he drops a lot of gems about, you know, the show, some of the stuff that's happening in the background, and even what we can expect out of the finale next week. Because them 3 words that he gave to describe the finale had us all shook, like, uh-oh. So yeah, check that out if you haven't already.
Definitely.
And so I want to talk more about this Henry situation, because we kind of touched on it a little bit. And so we have Detective Bryant revealing to Detective Jen what he did a few episodes ago, where he said, you know, I killed Tyson. And Bryant strategically placed the body right around the corner from Terry's diner. So it looks like Terry had some involvement. And of course, Henry and her feud with Terry, because he already then took the Chaldeans from her, which she found out this episode. Then on top of that, my cousin is found around the corner from this spot. Like, all things went out the window. Henry lost it.
Didn't I tell y'all last week that I was afraid that was going to happen?
You
that
sure
she
did.
She was going to assume that it was Terry and not Bryant, because they had already taken the plug. So I just naturally assumed that it was retaliation. Yeah,
that was kind of foul on Bryant's part, though. I was like, dang, I know you don't like Terry, but you out here doing people dirty.
It was foul, but it shows Bryant knows the game, and he knows how to play the game, because, you know, one of the things I didn't like about what Detective Jen was doing was still trying to get too close to Henry, because you can't keep showing up and then popping out. You know, you're going to have to give it up or just get out of the game, because at some point Henry's going to go, wait a minute. You know,
well, she did. She gave
it up all right.
Well, yeah, I guess I don't know how far.
Reluctantly.
No, she trust. She did.
You full moon, huh? Okay, all right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Jen is definitely playing a very dangerous game with Henry.
Yes, she is.
Because adding, the more she talks about her backstory, the more I feel like she's going to slip up. Because she's talking about how she used to work in, or how she currently works in a diner. That's what she's doing, and how her family has history there. And, you know, Henry is starting to feel her more and more, and she's kind of like trying to relate to her or whatever. But if for some reason Henry goes to investigate any of what Jen has told her and something don't check out, Jen is going to check out.
They gonna check out. Or what about her father? Like, what if she's following her, and what if she, because you know she goes to have dinner with you know, she goes and eats at her father's restaurant and stuff. Like, what if, you know, she does something to her father or whatever? Like, this, I'm
Right.
just me talking. I don't know, but
I mean, it's very possible. I mean, you know, and she mentioned about making a, what did she say, a lateral move out, narcotics. So I don't want to get into the foreshadowing aspects of things, but you know, I kid you. But you know, I don't know. It might say more than the words she used. So who knows? And also what Jason said, how explosive episode 10 is going to be. So we'll see.
Yeah. And not only that, Detective Jen planted that bug into Henry's cane. Let's say Henry has a clumsy moment, drops it, and that bug comes flying out. She's gonna be like, well, who is I around that could have put this here?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Jen is gonna be very high on the list of people she's gonna suspect.
Absolutely.
So that's something I could absolutely see happening. So I'm like, Jen might be the tragic ending for this season, because we know they usually go out with a bang.
yeah. I think that,
So,
and I think something that they said in the car about their plan, like she wanted to get back on the force or whatever, and then when they talked about going to Kobe's dad and taking down, you know, some of the detectives and stuff too. Now we know, like, I think was it in season 2 when they showed the foreshadowing of Bryant going to take T down, you know, when we saw that Bryant was back on the force, like he wasn't on the MPD, but he was with the FBI or whatever, I think. And so we know that, at least according to that foreshadowing, he is going to get back into law enforcement. He's going to get his job back in some capacity. So who knows, at the end of this season, like this bust or whatever happens with this situation, Jen may not make it, but he might ultimately end up, you know, coming up and getting back into you know, law enforcement behind it.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, so it's a lot going on with that whole situation. And then, you know, Henry, like you said, going and killing, or we don't even know if Hoop is dead yet. So he got shot in a very similar place that what's his name got shot, the MK, the Glock. Yeah.
Glock. Well,
so they both kind of had like it seemed like a stomach or like somewhere in the abdomen.
No, Glock's injury, as you saw when he fell to his back, the blood area was right above didn't seem to be too close to the heart, but we don't know, because, you know, when bullets hit, they kind of fragment sometimes. So we don't know, but the blood was like right around here. I would really be surprised if Glock survives that, and as well as Hoop, because, you know, the point is nobody knows that he was shot, and we saw how much blood that was coming from him. So it would be, and you know, the abdomen is a bad place to get hit. You know, again, because bullets have a funny way of doing things. So it would be, if I had put my money on it, he's out.
Yeah, it's definitely looking bleak for both of them. So we're really gonna have to wait and see. I thought it was funny that Henry would shoot him in that specific area and then tell him to tell Meech that he next.
Yeah,
like,
tell Terry.
Yeah, that was funny. And screaming at it at that, you know. But hey, but at least she can shoot. That's all I can.
Right, you got the right guy too.
Hey, you know, you hit your man.
His right hand. His right hand. Yeah, and I like Hoop. So I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Hoop has been a day one kind of person on Meech's team. Meech and Terry. So it's like he's very close to them. He's almost family to them. And it's gonna be a tough loss if he goes.
Yeah.
So I can see that really escalating things between her and Terry. And it's gonna really play into what Detective Bryant wants, is them going back and forth and eventually taking one or the other out. So we'll see.
Do y'all think? Yeah, I just want to ask y'all the question, or do you guys think that this will force Blaze's hand? Because he specifically told Henrietta to stand down. Once again, he told her to stand down before with this. And then he told her not to retaliate with the Tyson thing. And she, once again, disobeyed him. So
but
Kinda,
because she said that she wanted to get Terry specifically, and he was like, no, you can't touch Terry. We know he has business interests with Terry. So he was like, you can't mess with him. So her going after Hoop is not necessarily a direct violation of what he asked.
Well, indirectly though it is, because
it is indirect.
You hit one of his,
his right hand.
He told her to stand down. Right hand. He told her to stand down.
He said, stand down.
I think we had a conversation earlier about that he may not do it himself, but he may allow it to be done. And so I definitely can see that in the, if not this next episode, certainly next season, but I'm more inclined to believe she's out this episode for that very reason, because you started a war. If there wasn't one, you started one by taking out his right hand.
Yeah, but I know that's a father-daughter relationship, but it's what she did bad enough that he would, discipline her in some kind of way.
I think so, because it's cumulative. It's not just that one incident. He can't control her. And so he has his own, business, and actually twofold, one is more criminal and the other one's political. And so he certainly can't afford his daughter running around shooting everybody and he can't afford that. So, because eventually that light will come back on him. So he certainly doesn't need that if he plans to stay where he is. So I think he could allow it. He won't do it, but I think he'll allow it.
And I agree with Ron. And especially because everything that he just said, like what do you do with a mad dog? Sometimes you have to put them down. And Family or Not. And I don't know if you guys remember that movie, and it's an old movie, The Good Son, that had Macaulay Culkin when he was young, and that mother had to make a difficult choice because Macaulay Culkin was the devil in that movie. He was horrible, and when they were over that cliff and she had to make the choice between her own son and the good kid, she let Macaulay Culkin go because that was her flesh and blood. Yeah, that was her child, but he was awful.
Right.
He was horrible. And she saved the good child. And I just, I don't know.
Blaze could have a similar situation. I can see that too. Yeah, because Henry is out of control. I can't even front. She's out of control.
She is gone.
So I want to move on and talk about this whole Charles and Lucille situation. Oh, looks like another love TKO.
Look,
for real.
Yeah. Look, he's King Charles from now on. Did you see the way he handled that? Okay, first of all, Miss Lucille, you did it again. And I'm like, I don't know what it is you have with this, when he came to you initially and wanted you to travel with him, and you were hitting and hawing, he was like, well, what you want to stay home and play around with old Dr. Reese, and she made some old comment, and then we get toward the end and she tells him the truth.
Well, Doctor was landed on thick, taking her out to these nice restaurants, telling her what he want to do to her, and at the end spilling it that he actually is in love with her. I think that for somebody who has been cheated on, and can't seem to move past that in their current relationship, I think that Lucille is in a tough spot where it's like, yes, this is my marriage and this is something that I absolutely want, but my trust has been broken. And that's a major thing when somebody violates your trust like that. So I don't want to undermine that.
Right.
And I do appreciate that Lucille is, she's playing the fence a little bit because she's entertaining the doctor, but she's not allowing him to be intimate with her.
No, she hopped the fence. She hopped the fence. Look, at what she did in that hotel room, she might as well have gone all the way.
Yeah.
It got hot.
Look,
yeah.
Look, you went to that hotel room for one specific thing, and then you got Jesus. Now, let me tell you this. Jesus was in there before you open that hotel door. But other than that, it's interesting how you can be in such pain from having it done to you, and then you turn right around and do the exact same thing. So it really just goes.
I wouldn't say it's the exact same
thing.
It
is the exact same thing because, really, I don't want to get into the godly aspect of it, but you know what I'm talking about.
I hear what you're saying, but Lucille at least has some self-control.
Really?
Even if it's just him.
I think she was gonna go all the way. Once she went there, I was watching it, I was like, she ain't gonna do it. I was like, she ain't gonna do it. And I knew it. And I said, but I can see how she is going back and forth, and it seems like she is leading both people on. Like, and I know, and I understand her confusion. I understand that, especially since she's been hurt and everything. But it's like, because she was intimate with Charles, and then he had a little hope that they were going to reconcile.
True.
And then,
but she doesn't have to
Dr.
be
Reese is,
but she doesn't have to be confused, and that's my point. If you know in your heart, because this is kind of what she said to him, but if you know in your heart that the relationship with Charles is over because you said you were afraid that if you didn't leave, something to the effect that she would be, all of that would be imposed on her, and that she would have different feelings about that. I don't know remember how she put it, but the point being was she felt as though she had to leave. So, or rather had to end the relationship, I should say. So if that's how you truly feel, and you already said you are in love with this man, or you believe you're in love with this man, then leave. But
I think she plans to. That's what she said. That's how she ended it. Like when she said, I think you should go on a tour, like she let him know that I think this is where I'm at. So who knows? Like, if he goes on this tour, which I hope he does, because I was excited for Charles. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I hope he goes. Because this is an opportunity to follow his dream. And then I was like, and sometimes absence makes the heart go
fonder, but too much absence makes the heart wander. So
it does. Look, he might find somebody. He might find somebody on the road. She may miss him while he's gone. It's so many things that can happen during those 6 weeks.
And I feel like Lucille might also have a little bit of that grass is greener syndrome.
Yes.
Where it's like, of course the doctor looks good. He's a doctor. He got money. He got connects. He know the chef at the restaurant, all this stuff. So it looks great, from a distance. But maybe once she settles in with him, she might realize it's not all that it seems. And she might start missing Charles, like you said.
She's living a charmed life right now. And I understand that. We all would. We understand that. You came from humble beginnings, and and you come to a plateau in your relationship, and somebody's treating you warmly and lovely, and he's showering you with all these things. But you have to put it in perspective, because let's say that Charles does that tour, and he blows up, the group blows up, and then the very thing that you were missing, you now have, and all we were asking for is just that forgiveness with Charles. That's all, just to forgive him and see where it goes. Doesn't mean you have to forget, but just forgive him enough to see where it goes. And when you heard that he was, initially when he did the concert, and you were happy for him, and it seemed like, I don't know, things might turn. Are you that hardened now at this point? Really? Are you? Because I honestly believe that what could happen is you're going to turn around and this Charles is going to be headlining in major cities, and you're going to be like stuck with a man who is out doing doctor stuff 24 hours a day, hardly home.
Yep.
And you know what that'll do to a relationship. And then you're going to be in the same position basically
all over again. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a tough spot for Lucille to be in. And I do think that like the good doctor came along at a very opportune time, because had he not showed up, I think she would have forgiven Charles and stayed and worked things out. But it's the facts that I got options and it's a damn good option too. So I think that she doesn't want to have any regrets, and you know, it's really tough. But regardless of that, she's gonna have to worry about whether the kids will accept the doctor too, because we know that they might not be so welcoming with having him around.
Well, Nicole just gave up the tapes
when she giving up all the tea.
When she had Breeze over there and stuff, and when he was like, "Where's your mom?" Like, "Oh, she's with Dr. Montclair." I was like, "Man, she just it's just common knowledge that she's out with another man." Like, I was just like, "Wow!" Then she just said it so cavalier.
But I love the fact Charles took his daughter out to have dinner, and
that was so sweet.
That was sweet. And then he goes
to
my favorite song. But he goes to play one of my favorite songs by Skylark, Wildflower. Just to give y'all a little taste of that thing. That thing came out in 1972. It's a Canadian group called Skylark, and I believe it was David Foster was the lead of the group, and the guy that actually sung the song was Donnie Gerard. But that thing laid on the charts. It was, I think, number 21 for so long, and then it came back to Detroit. And when it got to Detroit, it hit like number 10 on the charts, and then it just went big over that. I mean, that was one of my favorite. I remember that.
That's back when they used to pour their heart out on the track.
Let me say, I was only 8 years old.
I was
like, in his feels when he heard
that. Yeah. You got to give up all the tapes.
Yeah, but, let me slow down. Okay.
Yeah, we appreciate the history lesson though. I love music. And I did, you know what? It made me think I did enjoy that scene too, Ron, because one of the things when I went to that screening, that BMF screening in New York, and I listened to Russell Hornsby on the panel, he talked about what he wanted to portray as Charles. And he, you know, and it was important to him to show a Black man, you know, taking care of his family, you know, a good man, a hardworking man. Like, you know, we see a lot of negative images on TV and stuff, but, you know, I thought that was a good, you know, it was a good performance and a good portrayal of a good hardworking Black man, family man and stuff with his daughter. And it was heartwarming to see.
Especially when Nicole comes out with like, "Oh, I got a boyfriend," and you expect a certain reaction from a father, but he gave probably the opposite of what people are thinking. Like, tell me more about him. He actually stopped to listen to her instead of chastising her decisions.
Exactly.
And so I think that Nicole probably felt really seen in that moment, because she had been craving that, like, for people to treat her like an adult. Like, you got me in all these adult situations, but you still want to treat me like a baby. And so he sat there and listened to what she enjoys about him. And, you know, she's comparing Breeze to her father and some of the same traits that they share. And I'm sure he really felt good in that moment.
And I'm going to tell you, let me tell you something. That bond that was created at that particular time, while Louise is talking about breaking camp.
Louise.
Louise. When Louise started talking about breaking camp, it's going to be a problem for Nicole. It's going to be a big problem. Lucille, you've opened up a can of worms that I don't think you can put back in that can, because I could see she really appreciated her dad listening and not responding negatively to her newfound boyfriend. So, and then she made an off the wall comment, and you know, he just kind of said, I liked his line, you know, when she said, "Oh, I didn't mean that," and he says, "Yes, you did."
Yes, you did.
She did, but you know, she didn't mean it in the. I think the
right, but it did sting a little bit for him.
Did.
But what did he do? He goes, plays my favorite song, takes her out to the floor, and starts dancing with King Charles. That's all I got to say.
I felt it when she said, I was like, "Woo!"
Right.
Yep. I was sitting just like he's sitting up there smiling, and she said that. I was like, "Oh,
ooh, I did too." I was like, "That was a gut punch." I was feeling like, but he did. He took it on the chin and kept it pushing. I really like how he handled her. After seeing her in Breeze, though, I think I kind of agree with Lucille's comment about, you know, the 6 weeks, saying LaWanda, oh, she's grown enough to be on her own. Like I understand Charles and everything, and it would have been nice if she could have gone and said she can stay with LaWanda. But 6 weeks over LaWanda's with Breeze.
No.
I'm gonna have to rescind what I said last week about Terry snatching her up.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up too. I think
she needs to be snatched up again.
Yeah. And if they both would have been gone for 6 weeks, I was like, yeah, Breeze would have been over LaWanda, because LaWanda got 2 kids to watch and stuff. Like, you know, she probably would have been doing her thing, and you know, LaWanda ain't gonna snitch on her.
Exactly.
And what they say, the spirit is eager, but the flesh is weak. Because Nicole might want to do good, but when Breeze is over there telling her all the right things and doing the right things,
the heart wants what it wants.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, first of all, Nicole, you got your boyfriend up in your bedroom while you think your parents are out. Okay, right away, that tells me you're ready to go the mile for this dude. So, Louise, you better get home and find out what's going on.
And she on a pill. At least Lucille made her get on that pill, because she was like, I see how this starts. Because even the conversation that Charles had with her was like, you know, I was around your age when I met your mom. Yeah. And even the stuff that Lucille was saying, and I think that's why she's so attracted to the doctor. It sounds like she and Charles got involved young. It was young love. And then the next thing you know, like she said, she got pregnant young and stuff. And then got married young. And then next thing you know, she has 3 kids. So she felt like a lot of her dreams she didn't get a chance to fulfill. And so I think, you know, she said it to the doctor. Charles said it to Nicole, like, you know, make sure you know yourself before you give yourself to someone else. And I think, I mean, it's true, because she's young. And things happen, and next thing you know,
you in a situation. Yep.
Your life has changed.
Excellent advice from Charles.
So he gave her a kiss on the side of her forehead or something. And I'm like, wow. And that's the brother for me.
So if we want to talk about the game ball, I'm giving the game ball to Charles, not only for how he dealt with the heartbreak with Lucille, but for how he handled Nicole. I was very impressed, and I loved it. I loved it, all of it.
I think I agree with you.
Absolutely. I'm also nominating Terry for a game ball too.
Me too. I agree with
Terry that too. Came through this episode. He made sure that he got old Frenchie in line on their team and ready to work with them. So Terry learned a little thing about the finesse that he needs to maneuver.
Okay, I'm gonna give him my game ball with a string on it, because by next week, if he takes that witch back, I'm snatching.
I'm gonna take her back, but I agree with you on that. But I also agree with T for him standing on business with work and everything. But I also want to give him the game ball for standing on business with Markeisha and sending her butt home and setting her straight the way he did too.
Which brings us to who can get the hands. Markeisha. Markeisha can absolutely get the hands. She really showed out this week. I mean, she's been annoying the whole season, but she really took it to another level this week. Especially when they're trying to warn her that not only is their safety at risk, but hers by association, and she's still just blowing them off. She gets the hands. Now, why are you giving Angel the hands?
Yeah.
Because in your mess that you're playing both sides, you're gonna get the very side that you, I suppose, love the most caught up. You got to make a choice here, because here's the thing: the MKs aren't no joke, you know.
Mhm.
So why you want to be hanging with them in the first place is really beyond me. So make a stand, come on, draw straws, do something, but cut this back and forth out, because you can get Meech kind of, in the realm of things, you can get Meech really hemmed up.
Yeah, well, hopefully this is the end of her back and forth, and she really will stick with one dude, and hopefully that's Meech, if he'll have her back, which
No,
it seems
well,
like
you
he's
saw how
willing
hugged
to.
up he was. He seems,
Yeah, he seems like he's open to it.
Well, Tiff.
And she said, "I'll see you back at home." So
Mhm.
sounded like she was going back to Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
too. So I was like, okay, so she trying to ride with Meech.
And
Yeah.
you have said it many times, Tiff. I don't want to repeat it, but
Kryptonite.
they're kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
And I think I'm also going to go ahead and add the MK crew onto the who can get the hands list, because how you shoot your own balls?
I give them game ball for that. They get game ball. That wicked shooting, they get game ball. They shot their balls. That's game
Friendly
ball.
fire. Friendly fire.
Friendly fire.
Look, game ball.
Game ball, friendly fire.
Well, yeah, I guess that could go either way.
Yeah, you're right. I think the hands, though. I agree with you, T. But look, game ball for Miami, though, because I love Miami. I know you do too.
Oh yeah, gotta love the MIA.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed this episode. Next week is the season finale, and if Jason is right about the 3 words he said described it, I think he said explosive was one of the words.
Heart-wrenching.
Heart-wrenching, yeah. And he said something else that had me like clutching my pearls. So I'm like, major death, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But he didn't say those words, but that's the impression it gives. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they got up their sleeve next week. I'm predicting, like I said before, that Detective Jen is going to be a casualty of this situation.
I think so,
we'll see, though.
Yeah.
We will see. You guys got anything else to add before we close out?
No. Good.
Okay. Well, thank everyone so much for watching. Please drop down in the comment section and give us your thoughts about this episode, as well as your predictions for next week's finale. Also, check out our interview with Jason Louder if you haven't already. It's in that interviews tab on our page. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and click that notification bell so you're alerted whenever we post. We are also on all major social media platforms at The Spot Real Talk. So give us a follow there, share the links, share our channel. Make sure your friends and family tune in as well. This is a great platform, and we are so happy to bring you all amazing content, and we're going to keep doing it. We know one of our other favorites is coming back, The Shy. So get ready for those recaps, and let us know if there are any other shows that are kind of on your radar that you would like to see reviewed as well. We'll absolutely consider any of your suggestions. So please do that. Tiff, Ron, going once, going twice. Nothing else? All right, well, on that note, we're going to call it a night, and we'll see you all next week for the season finale of BMF. Good night.
Good night.
Two separate times,